I don't understand. So this is the main idea of these corporates, and how this corporate system is similar to colonial system. Because globalization is not a new phenomena. It's the old coin in a new bottle. It's the same. So the corporatism is a new form of colonialism, we can say, because they have certain characteristics, common characteristics. So here, if you look at this, how they function, and if they look at their objectives and the way they function, I think it was very much similar to them. And how Gandhi encountered this colonialism, mainly when you look at the Gandhiji's struggle, it may appear as a political, it's political, but it was by and large economic. The base was economy, the non-cooperation, maybe the khadi, burning of foreign cloths, and village industrial industries. So all these are economy. So alternative system to the foreign, colonial rulers. So you can see. So I think on this ground, I am just trying to explain what is the commonality between these two. See, the colonialism, their main objective was not to rule India in a just manner, not to provide all comforts and benefits to the ruled. No, how to exploit them, how to exploit them, and how to amass wealth, and how to take it all to their country. Though Britain is a small country, very small country, how could it become rich, so rich in the world compared to India? India has so much of wealth, potentials, and all that, but India is lacking on many, many things. So understanding this colonialism and corporatism is very important. So they have four important characteristics. So their main objective is exploit. How do they do? How do they do? So first thing is they penetrate into our culture. They penetrate into our way of life. That's very much associated with the economic activity. So our way of life, our culture, even education. Education was a learning process. Now it is a very investment process. We make a lot of investments. It's a kind of so in recent times, I think newspapers are reporting that students are very much after pursuing education in abroad. Then there was a counter article appeared. No. Now the Indian systems are improved. I think students are preferring Indian schools and colleges compared to the foreign. So whatever it may be, this is a kind of conflicting views. So both of them produce statistics to convince us in their own way. So they penetrate into our culture, way of life, education in all our system, in the name of passion, in the name of comfort, in the name of, I think, sophistication, whatever it may be. They penetrate into our culture. Thus, they want to make us to earn more, spend more. So these kinds of consumerist culture they develop. So what they did, British, they said our way of dressing is bad. Their way of clothing is civilized. So you buy more cloth, and that cloth will come from London. I think we should buy. I think we have small earnings. Whatever the earnings, we should give it to them, and they will become rich and we become poor. Again, same thing comes back. So Gandhi wanted to put an end to that. Okay, right. Then, when there is an opposition for penetrating into our culture, suppose our youngsters, I think, or your students, they are saying, no, we will not follow Western way of lifestyle. We will adapt a simple lifestyle. I think we will not follow them because we have our own tradition and culture that is very rich, they say. Then what they do is they make a fragmentation. They divide the society. They divide the society. the people who support and the people oppose. Even Gandhi faced this challenge. The so-called educated people were very much with the British, though many of them joined later with Gandhi, but the way of thinking was very much Western, not with completely agreeing with Gandhi. It's that you should see. Nowadays, young people, so because I go for this Gandhian thought class, I think when we have discussions with students, they say, I think because of Gandhi, India become backward in economic status in other things. I asked why. I know, see, he talks about village industries and backward things like this and that. It's all golden days. Gone are those days. But what's a new problem? Pollution is a new problem. And how it comes, I think they don't associate. I think we have to have it. Anyway, this is how they fragment the society and try to get the support of you over others. And mainly creamy layers they get, so they support. Now the corporates choose the best mind of this country and use them against the poor people. I think this is the kind of a fragmentation which happens. Then segregations. It says they segregate. If the opposition is too tough, they segregate, differentiate. They don't bother about them. So their target is the vast majority of the consumer, which they follow this advertisement or this corporate economy. Then, if the small marginal intellectual groups, if they oppose, they marginalize them. They marginalize them. So they will not make them. They will not allow them to be big impact on the society. I think you economists, I think you should think this way. You maybe it seems to be very marginalized, very small in number. But if you have a different kind of thinking, different way of looking at the economy, I think you can make a breakthrough. But in the process, you may be marginalized. You may not be recognized. But whatever the contribution you make stand. And I think the madam said about the UN sustainable goal is one of the important aspects we talk about. Sustainable development is the. So this sustainable development, people talk more, but what efforts they have taken. I think we'll talk later. Then what's the negative impact it creates? It brings so many negative impacts economically. It creates uneven economic distribution, sharp difference between rich and poor. You know that it's a kind of digital divide. The difference is too sharp. And people experience unprecedented level of economic and social stress. Social stress. So this economy is satisfied, will it gives pleasure or pain? I think many of these theories, economic theories, talks about the pleasure and pain. You see whether it gives a pleasure or pain. So this present corporate economy makes us to live in stress and tension. So it's the right economy. Then there are certain, authors who talked about this. There was Benjamin Barber. The world is flat. Probably they heard about that. He was talking about why we have the clash in the present day world. He said there's a clash between jihad and versus Magworld. What is Magworld? It is a market-oriented countries and that's economy. And jihadis are the cultural based or a tribal, so we consider them backward. Consider them in modern balance. So there's a clash between these two. There's one group, they want to ensure their economic independence, cultural independence. On the other hand, in the name of market economy, in the name of the development, we globalize things. So that's the next world. In the even globalist, the strong survive and weak perish. That's it. Then there's another, Thomas Friedman talks about the Lexus and olive tree. He compares again the same thing. Lexus is a technological oriented. So countries which have so much of technology, they are progressing. And the other people who are cultural oriented is moving apart. Then these corporate sectors are operating on the basis of the consumeristic and materialistic culture, which Gandhi opposed. And what they do, I think they have a system. I think I cannot project my PPT. So it says, if you see, there's a stimuli. They tempt us in the name of fashion, in the name of modernity, in the name of civility. They tempt us to buy, to have more things. Then when we buy, we have the sense of satisfaction. But that's not named. Then there is a re-stimuli. They stimuli again. They say you buy more, so you will have more pleasure, more satisfaction. So re-stimuli, satisfy. Then stimuli. So this is a kind of cyclic. It goes on, never ends. And finally, it makes us to ended up in addiction. Then an addiction. So we are addicted to consumerism and materialistic way of life. When you got addicted, you cannot think further. Your mind will be clouded. You start believing everything. So people sometimes use the word mind colonizing. It colonizes our mind. It colonizes our culture, our way of life and everything. So this is happening. But Gandhian economy is very different. Gandhi is not an economist. But Gandhi is an economist in another sense. When we believe that economy deals with our the way of life and way of living and how we should get satisfaction in our life, how to fulfill our needs. And if it deals with, I think Gandhi is an economist in that sense. But if you talk about comfort, sophistications, and things like that, I think Gandhi may not fit into that kind of economic system. Right. So it is entirely different. So it is a challenging. Having gone all this distance, having all these kinds of developments, can we go back? Can we move to Gandhian economy? How it is possible? Is there any experiments? I think there are experiments. So in America, there's an Amish community. Still they try to do something. There are experiments. I think throughout the world, I think people are doing so much of experiments on this line. I think we should study and try to find a way. Just because it is a common trend, just because we blindly accept it due to our addiction to certain culture, we cannot challenge this as impossible. So that's a caution I would like to make before what Gandhi stood for. So Gandhian economy is based on the way of life, and his principles, the economic principles, are again based on two important fundamental principles: truth and non-violence. How far it is truth, and how much non-violence, how much it doesn't affect other human beings, how much it doesn't affect oneself, how much it doesn't affect the environment. So it is non-violent. This is called non-violent economy. So then his economy is based on other principles like Sudesi, self-reliance, bread. I think we should work for our own life. We should work and earn. And Gandhiji considered and work is a sin. If we get wealth without work, if we have wealth without work, it's a sin, he considered. So that's very important point to be noted here. So his economic activities or his economic principles are based on or motivated by two principles. One is the relationship between the members of the human family. What kind of relationship we have? What kind of relationship? Then the various types of natural resources and how we utilize them. So Gandhi the motive behind this Gandhian economy is based on these two. As you all aware, I think probably you would have heard about J.C. Kumarappa. J.C. Kumarappa is considered as a Gandhian economist. He studied in America and he did many research. He's a doctor. He practiced audit in Mumbai, in your place. Then he went to Gandhi to get a kind of preface for his book. He wanted to publish a book on the title, the Indian Poverty. But Gandhi picked him up and he involved him in all his activities. And he made many economic survey and submitted to Gandhi. Gandhi went through the survey. And I think they both worked on it. So in that sense, Gandhi is kind of economist. He tried to understand facts on the basis of the survey or research, okay, on the basis of empirical thing, not based on certain reports or hearsay like that. So his economy was based on, Gandhiji's economy is described or developed by Kumarappa, and he used these phrases. His economy is based on 5 kinds. Or we can explain Gandhiji's economy on the basis of this. So one he call it as a parasitic economy. So it's called, otherwise called a tiger economy. The tiger kill animal and eats. It doesn't produce anything. Okay, so the source of production is nil. It doesn't produce. Rather, it consumes without production. It eats. So, some of this present economic situation, you know that they are consumer without producing. We also, we don't consume. We consume, but we don't produce. So we don't know the value of the product sometimes, and how it comes, where from it comes, what is the source of this product, how much waste we make. So it is like that. So in India was during colonial period, it was like that. They tried to make us as a consumer in a way on particular aspects. So they bought raw materials for cheaper rate, but they sold their product for higher rates. So you see the gap between these two. So whatever labor you put, it becomes insignificant when it is compared to the consumption, because the consumption is at the higher rate and the product, the earning was at a lower rate. It's a kind of pretty parasitic economy. Then there is another economy, predatory economy, he tells. He says it's a monkey economy. The monkey plucks fruits from the tree, eats. It doesn't produce anything, but it consumes. But it doesn't kill the source of production. It doesn't kill. Rather, in parasite, they kill the source. In modern parlance, they destroy the natural resources. They deplete the resources. But in the predatory economy, it's not like that. They consume, but they don't kill. They allow the things to survive. So that's a kind of economy. It is something like self-centered economy. So that this kinds of economy, is also not very much desirable. Then the another word is enterprising economy, it says. It's like a bird's economy. So they produce and consume. So they produce and consume in the sense they produce their nest and they pick it up things, and they do some kind of activity. They work for their food and do it in that sense. That's an enterprise. They work for their food and they live. Then gregarious economy, it says, it's called a bee economy. What is bee economy? The bees, honeybees collect honey and store it in the hive. There is a common, there is no personal hive. The honeybee never claims that this is my hive. I will deposit whatever the honey I collected from the sources. It never claims. They put all together this kind of socialistic economy. It's like that. So here they don't consume. They don't consume. They leave it for others and leave it for the future generations. So that's kind of economy. So that is somewhat better than others. Then the last one is called a service economy, service stages, or the mother economy. The mother bird, go and collect food, but give all the food to the smaller one, not eat by herself. So that's the thing. But this kind of economy, I think we have to work out. We have to move towards. That's what we believe. I think we don't have any such things as of today, but it is an ideal state. We have to move towards. But all other types are available. So this is one. Second aspect is about the utilization of resources. That's the motive behind it. I think J.C. Kumarappa uses words current economy. For example, the water is flowing in a river. Even if you take a bucket of water, I think the water flows and it fills and it's go on. It got never depleted. When you take a bucket, but when you consume differently, it's a different matter. But the reservoir economy, that's another economy. It says if you have a glass of water, you drink little water, then what happens? It goes down. Then you drink further. Finally, you don't have anything in it. Your tumbler will be empty. That kind of things. In modern terms, it is kind of renewable resource and non-renewable resources. And what do we use nowadays for development? Renewable or non-renewable? So non-renewable resources, the powerhouse, coal, and all kinds of metal, minerals, everything we use. So this may mean development. So there is a fallacy in our economic development policies. What are these development fallacies? It says the world's resources are inexhaustible. That's wrong. Inexhaustible. There was a group called the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome has produced a work called Limits to Growth. Limits to Growth. And that was immediately challenged by the American government. They asked some scholars to work against, and they produced a lot of data. For example, they said, if you consume petrol in this rate, probably after 100 years, we will not get, petrol. But the government supported, because the Club of Rome is a private club. See, the intellectuals, they voluntarily joined together and they did the research. They didn't have much facilities. However, they used all their resources in studying it. But the government, spent so much on it, so then they produced statistics. Even if you consume in this rate, I think the research, petrol reserve will come for this much of area. So they try to prove that the Club of Rome's report, Limits to Growth, is false. But what is the present state? What the present report says. So it is threatening. So now the so-called countries, the developed countries, they are looking for solar energy and other type of alternative energies. Okay, this is that. Then technological progress is limitless. People are tend to believe in technological progress is limitless. So they say you can have technology, we can solve any problem through technology. Will it be ultimate? It's a question. Then third thing is economic development and underdevelopment are separate and unconnected phenomena. So it's not that. Once development is the underdevelopment of others. This is the kind of things. Globalization, when it was introduced, it says, no, I think when globalization comes in, I think the development could be even because people will compete with each other and try to get, because they will get all opportunities, equal opportunities, and they will have equality. But what happens on technology, it never happens in technology. So some of these advanced technologies are monopolized by some of them. So they use it. So this is the kinds of discrimination we have. Then industrialization. Through industrialization, man's worldly goods can be increased indefinitely, resulting in ever-increasing material prosperity. So the material prosperity will go through industrialization, through technology. It says it's not right. It's not right. I think the production should be not based on technology. It should be based on our hands. That's the kind of suggestions Gandhi made. So what is an organic or sustainable economic model? What it says the resources of this planet are finite and limited. So please mind your consumption. Please mind your development paradigm and limit your paradigm. Limit your development paradigms and regulate it. And if possible, revert it. Says it all depends upon. So when the crisis is too much, I think coming back is very, very, very hard. Rather, if you are intelligent enough, if we start the work today, probably we slowly go towards that direction. So we have to move towards the new alternative paradigm, economic paradigm. That's about it. Then they cannot indefinitely sustain large-scale industrialization. Large-scale industrialization we cannot sustain for longer time. The countries which had so much of industrial in London, in Europe, now what's happening? They are starting their industries elsewhere in Asia and in Africa, not in their own country. You cannot find big industry in their country. All of them are shifted to the developing countries. Why? Why? I think careful study we should make. Why they shifted to the other countries? Then the pollution generated by the industrial way of life does irreparable damage to plant, animal, and human life. Then the pollution, if the pollution is unchecked, it will collapse the human civilization. What happened in China? What happened in Delhi? You know that. What happened? I do not know. Bombay escaped. I do not know why. I think you have to make a study. Mumbai condition is better than, though it's an economic capital, but not industrial capital, it seems. So you got escaped. But
geographically, Arabian Sea has saved us, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yes.
We are not landlocked, that is why.
Yeah. Then main restrictions on human development are social. So the main restriction for the human development are social, not material. So if you want to make human development, I think focus on social issues, not on material. Material development cannot make the complete whole human development. So we want to make the happiness, maximum happiness. You want to maximize the happiness. And if you want to do it, I think deal something differently. So what Gandhi suggests, I think I will try to close it. I think it's time. Maybe I have more points to share with you, but I try.
Yes.
Gandhi says the decentralization. So Gandhi said, if you want to have an economic justice, he said he tried for alternatives. He said the decentralization of economy, production, marketing, everything decentralized. That's one important way. Then cottage and small scale industries. So you have all these industries, small scale industries, because there was a debate even during Gandhiji's time, whether Gandhi was against machineries. And Gandhi himself answered to that question. I need not answer to that. And probably you would have all seen Modern Times, Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. You know the movie? Have you seen this movie, Modern Times? I think it talks about the technology, and I mean, Charlie is making a lot of laugh out of that, right? So it's very humorous, but at the same time, it is very educated, right? Then opposition of consumerism. He talks about the civilization, the human civilization is in its limiting their wants. If you limit your wants and if you reduce your wants voluntarily, poverty is different. When your wants are limited due to certain external compulsion, that's poverty. But if you voluntarily limit your needs, your wants, then that's called civilization, according to Gandhi. So Gandhi said consumption level of the poorest, that should be our primary concern. So you take this as a yardstick, is it? Then equal distribution, it means each according to his needs and each according to his ability. So contribute. So equality and equality and equity, that differences, you know that. So you cannot achieve economic equality in true sense. So it is like that. Each according to his ability and needs. I think we have to support each other, human beings. A person who is weak at one point may be strong in another. So that is a balancing mechanism. Then finally, Gandhi talked about the ownership. I think not corporate, not capital. He talked about trusteeship. You own the wealth, the people who own the wealth, you use your wealth as a trustee. Don't claim that the property is yours and make it as, and you consider yourself as a trustee and try to use all these resources for the welfare of others. I think in the process, you will also take whatever you want to take, but not based on greed, but it's based on needs. That's it. Then Gandhian economy is based on these products. What kind of products we should make is socially useful, not all kinds of things for the sake of selling it in the markets. Probably if we apply this, the cosmetic industries, defense industries should be closed. They are the biggest industries. Will the present generation will do that? Will come forward it? It's a bigger question. So therefore, Gandhian economy is a big challenge today. It's not easy. It's a big challenge. But you should understand what the cosmetic industries are doing, what the defense industries are doing. I think we should make a note of it, because I think we need a larger studies in this area. Then mode of production. This is the mass production, but Gandhi advocated production by the masses, so that employment will be there. There will be more employment. People will employ in their own place. Probably these kinds of migration from rural to urban will be stopped from one state to another. So in the COVID period, probably you would have seen that become the major social issue in this country. People from different states start migrating from one state to another. They were walking the entire distance. Why? They are unable to live in their own place. So I think we have to change this production pattern. Then method of production, I think Gandhi advocates human labor. Use your labor and use the renewable resources, the power, and use it. Then exchange and trade should be based on human satisfaction and must be mutual and be real. So it should not be artificial or be inflated. I think it should be real, and it should aim at human satisfaction, not for selling and making profits. Then Gandhi talked about the economy should be cooperative. Cooperative. So we have to cooperate with each other. And therefore, I think the trade will be simple. We can exchange products locally. Okay. And through which we can achieve self-reliance. Gandhi talked about self-reliance. I think all villages cannot be self-reliant. He was aware. But only through cooperations, only forming federations, and we can do that, he said. Then standard of living, that has to be considered carefully. And Gandhi recommended a green economy and rural reconstruction. We have to reconstruct the rural areas. Now we developed urban. Now we talks about trends, how much migrations are happening. how much developments are happening. And Mumbai is expanding, Chennai is expanding, my place, Madurai is expanding. But what about the quality of life? I think this is a big question. So what happens now? What's the quality of life in rural areas? I think Dr. Abdul Kalam talked about providing technology and facilities at the rural level for the concept he was talking about. How much we achieved? It's a big question. Maybe we are extending certain technology facilities now. The mobile, the internet facilities are available. What else? Then ownership. He talked about the trusteeship, and he talked about labor. So labor, I think he was so human. I think we should not dehumanize it. The labor should have every dignity. The laborers. So, and the labor should be, received with proper dignity. I think it should not be exploited. It should not be exploited. But what's happening? By tempting them, we make them to work more. What's happening in the software industries? How much they are working? They exploit the labor. So it's a kind of dehumanization. And industries also extra time they work. And what do they enjoy? See, the wealth is for the sake of pleasure. But how much pleasure they have? It's a contrary to that nature. But Gandhi's village economy, they work, they have so much of leisure time, they do alternative works, and along with other leisure activities, they sing songs. Even in villages, when they go for agriculture, they sing songs, they make a lot of jokes, and they share many things. It's a kind of natural life, but we adapt here artificial kind of situation in the industries and in the workplaces. Then agro-based industries, village industries should be started. So this is the kind of larger framework I think Gandhi economy is having. Gandhi economy is having. And how to bring back, maybe on trusteeship, there was a lot of questions. Can we make the present capitalist as a trustee? Will it be possible? How it's possible? It's all a challengeable questions. I think it can't be answered because we have traveled so quickly towards different directions. Even so, in my university, people used to say, Nehruji came to Gandhigram and he saw Gandhigram. I think Gandhigram also changed very much. I cannot claim anything significant. So, because this is the thing which I heard from my friends. They used to say, when Nehru came, he said, I departed from Gandhiji very much. Therefore, I am facing these problems. Nehruji preferred industrialization on agri, on other things. And he made a confession in Gandhigram. But I was asking for the records. Those days we didn't have these recording facilities. It was not recorded. So now we cannot claim. But this is the thing the founder Vice Chancellor, Dr. G. Ramachandran in Gandhigram, spoke. Who was a friend of him. So he spoke. So I take it very authentic. But now we have traveled so far. Now how are we going to come back? I think we should look for many different kinds of experiments happening around, which I said Amish community still try to retain their cultural way of life and try not to use this technology and other things, try to protect their own economy, simple economy. My wife visited the States. She stayed there for some time and she visited the community. I think in the town near to that Amish community, and they were waiting for on a particular day because they will get an organic vegetables, organic products. They are pure, good. They don't go to big malls for buying that. They get all these things from them. So there are significant experiments are there here and there. Probably we have to pull together. I think as an economist, I think you will collect. I think you have to do it. This is your job and it's my job also. I have to stand, though I'm not basically an economist, but I can contribute in a little way. to the great efforts you put up. So I think it's the time to stop. So I'll stop with this.
Yes, sir.
Because my friends are waiting as
Yes.
you have a time to go back. So I stop with this. Thank you.
Yes.
Probably we'll continue these discussions in later days.
Yes, sir.
If there's-
Sir, I will quickly end for the day today. It was very nice of you to give such an in-depth analysis of Gandhian study. I'm sure students must have learned today more than truth and non-violence. There is something like Sarvodaya, there is a trusteeship, and there are different types of economies. The example of bees, the example of, the monkey eating the fruit but does not destroy the resources. Then, if each individual depends upon the needs of his, so 1 minute. Yeah. If each individual works as per his needs and not as per his greed, then I think that will, solve the problem of majority of mankind. So with these words, I will propose the vote of thanks for the day. And I would like to deem it my privilege to express my gratitude to our today's chief guest, Dr. William Baskaran. Sir, thank you very much for being here today in spite of your very busy schedule. And tomorrow is a big day for your institute and you also said that you all are doing it in a very big way, celebrating Gandhi Jayanti tomorrow. Then I also would like to express my thanks to our principal, Dr. Lily Bhushan, who is the torchbearer and who always guides us that this is how we have to move around and this is how we have to develop an educational institution. Our omnipresent vice principal, Dr. V.S. Kannan, who is always there to support us. Nevertheless, our very dynamic and magnanimous KES management, Kandivali Education Society management, who always stands by and supports us. And all my colleagues, a very big thank you for joining here today. My friends from other colleges who have joined here today, and the entire media team, the technical team, and of course, dear students for being a part of us today, because like I always tell this to my students, and these are the sentences which I repeat, what our principal always says, aap hai to hum hai. So like students, the entire credit goes to you all for being with us here today. And we all hope we remember Gandhiji almost day in and day out of our entire lifetime and practice some of his ideas which were shared by Dr. Baskaran today. Yes, thank you once again, and thank you, sir, for being with us. And we hope our relationship will continue to remain between you and our college. So it will be nice to meet you some time soon. Like, we would wish to invite you again back to our college. Definitely. Yes.
Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We will end the meeting for the day. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.